Boettcher here, and welcome back to my studio. In this video, I'm going to be deconstructing Fatboy Slim's fantastic track Right Here, Right Now. We're going to go through all of the known samples and try to reconstruct this track as best as we can. Now, back earlier in the summer, Norman Cook was kind enough to join my live stream to help me go through this track and reassemble it sample by sample. So if you have a little bit of time and you want more information on how Right Here, Right Now was made, I recommend checking that video out. I'll link that up here. Now, unfortunately, I had some technical issues during that live stream, so we didn't quite make it to the end of the track, but we made it pretty far along, and I hope to have Norman Cook back at some point in the near future to finish off Right Here, Right Now. So like I said, we're going to go through all of the known samples, and the most famous of the samples used in Right Here, Right Now is from James Gang and their track Ashes, The Rain, and I from the 1970s album James Gang Rides Again. So there are three different samples that are taken from James Gang. So that's the first one of the main sample. And then he also uses this bar as well. And then for the intro, he uses these softer strings. Now we're going to go through all of that, but before I get to the intro, we're actually going to kind of start in the middle of the track. So this is that main string sample cut up. It is pitched up by around 2.5 semitones. Now in order to get Fatboy Slim's Right Here, Right Now, there are a lot of sounds that are happening there. Let's actually start off with the drums. So Norman Cook was nice enough to provide me with some of the drum samples that he used. Now, he couldn't provide information on where he had found them, although he likely found them through different sample libraries that he would have collected over the years. And so this one he called Drums Big Beats. And then let's toss in the strings and see how it sounds. And so this is kind of the genius of Fatboy Slim, in my opinion, because right now it's sounding very flat. And a lesser producer might just leave it at that. But Fatboy Slim does a fantastic job of layering rhythmic samples together. So building on the rhythm of this track, Norman Cook sampled Coldcut and Hexstatic and their track Timber. So let's hear how that's cut up. And it's fully in the left channel, and I've also EQ'd all of the low end out. So let's hear that with the rest of the drums. And let's hear that now in Fatboy Slim's Right Here, Right Now. See if you can pick it out in the left channel. All right, so continuing building this theme that is right here, right now, you could probably hear Sitar in his track. And that comes from Ravi Shankar's track, Running Deer from 1966. So maybe you heard it there around the 1 minute mark. So let's put that in the context of the rest of the samples that we have assembled. That one element right there really glues things together, and you wouldn't really know it by just listening to the sample. But it's really what brings together right here, right now. Now, the next sample to come in is a guitar, and it's pretty subtle in the mix, but see if you can pick it out. Now, as far as I know at this point, nobody is aware of where this sample comes from, but let's just take a listen to the sample itself. And in the context of the rest of the track. Now, before we get into some of the vocals that come up here, let's actually go back to the beginning of the song, now that we've sort of assembled the majority of the samples that make up right here, right now. First of all, he uses the outro loop of James Gang's Ashes. And what he does is he starts off with a low-pass filter. And something that is quite unique to this track is that every single bar, the low-pass filter goes up a step. It's a very digital process. It's not analog like you would hear in almost any track that uses a low-pass filter to make a build-up. And when talking to Norman Cook about that, I believe it had something to do with the limitations of the technology that they were using at the time. And maybe you can tell me in the comments, but I think that there was some technical reason why they had to do a digital step up for each bar. And you can see how I've done that here, where the low-pass filter gets stepped up for each bar to simulate exactly what he has. Now, as this intro progresses, more and more instruments come in from the rest of the track, as you would imagine. And so the first one to come in again is the sitar and flute loop, which is as yet unidentified. Let's continue on here. So you can hear that choir and that hi-hat come in. And that sample is from Curt Boettcher and his track, I Love You More Each Day, from the 1973 album, There's an Innocent Face. And so, believe it or not, that hi-hat and choir sample comes from here. I sing a song, I sing it all day long. Now, it is pitched down by about 1.5 semitones. And it's cut up so that the end of the sample, when the voice goes up, it comes from the beginning. So isn't that sort of remarkable that the hi-hat you hear in this intro is actually partly due to an acoustic guitar being strummed? So here in the build-up, we transition back to the main string sample. And a couple other samples come in here. Most notable to me is actually the cymbal, which Norman Cook uses almost exclusively on every track on the album You've Come a Long Way, Baby. Now, I will likely be doomed to never know the actual origin of this cymbal, but a fellow sample lover and listener of my videos showed me where I could get an example of this cymbal to actually use in these tracks. And it is from Mighty Dubcat's Williams the First. Mighty Dubcats is a side project of Norman Cook's, and so of course he uses this cymbal on his tracks there as well. And so at the end of this track, Williams the First, you can hear this cymbal isolated. Now it's in the right channel, and I've compressed it, and I've also warped it in a way that sort of stretches it digitally. So let's take a listen to that now. And let's put that in the context of the song. Okay, let's listen to his. Another sample you might be hearing there is the Sitar, which is Ravi Shankar's Running Deer. And then we get into the vocal sample right here, right now.
Right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now, right here.
And that vocal sample is from Angela Bassett performing in the 1995 movie Strange Days.
Right here, right now. It's real time. You hear me? Real time.
Now it's pitched up by about a semitone and a half.
Right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now.
And you can hear that there's a bit of delay on the left side and the right side as well. Now, a little bit of inside baseball. When I was talking to Norman Cook about this track, he told me that he actually got this vocal sample from a vocal library and that he didn't actually know the origin of this vocal sample until much later after the song was released, which I thought was kind of interesting because he, like most producers, just kind of stumbled upon, a voice that sounded really good, and he put it into his track and utilized it really well.
Right here, right now, 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 right here, right now.
And so the next sample to come in is sort of this extending guitar feedback.
Right now, right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now.
And that was sampled from Billy Squier and his 1980 track, You Should Be High, Love.
Some say love is borrowed time. Lonely, lonely love is the
So it is pitched down 4 semitones for that low C.
Right now, right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now.
So now we're getting to the vocals in this breakdown. And once again, I think Norman Cook found these vocal samples on a sample compilation of some sort and put it together and sampled it himself for this track. Now there's also a couple of other samples that come in here as well. So at the end of this phrase, you can kind of hear a digital buildup. And that sample comes from the Flirts' Danger from the 1983 album Born to Flirt. So let's hear that in the track. This is pitched down again by 4 semitones. And there's actually another rhythmic element that comes in the right channel as these vocals come in as well. And that is from C.O.D. and their track In the Bottle from 1983. So here are those drums isolated. And then the last note I'll make here is in an effort to build up this part of the song, he goes from the main James Gang string sample to another string sample that has a very high A in it. And in this part, he also adds a China cymbal in the left channel with the main cymbal. So let's put that all together here. So thanks so much for checking out this video. If you like this kind of thing, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more videos coming up this fall. And on that note, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.